Hello, my name is Vicky and I work for Corporate Europe Observatory, and together with the German organisation Lobby Control, we have recently relaunched our website LobbyFacts. LobbyFacts takes all the data from the EU Lobby Transparency Register and puts it in a much more user-friendly format to enable citizens, journalists, activists to find stories about who is lobbying who in Brussels, the capital of the European Union. So today I will show you around LobbyFacts and show you some of the great search capabilities that we have. Just a word of caution before we start. The data comes from the EU Lobby Register. That means that most of the data is self-declared by the lobby organisations registered in it, and the data is not independently verified. So please, if you are using LobbyFacts, do check out the disclaimer that we have on our website. That will give you more information about the data that we have. But for now, I will show you around the search functions that we have. So this is the homepage of LobbyFacts, and if you scroll down a little way you will see that there are several different search options that you can use. So if we first of all click on this one, Lobby Organisation by Name, and I will just put in the name of CEFIC, which is the European Chemical Industry Council, perhaps the biggest lobby operating in Brussels, representing the chemical industry council, the chemical industry lobby. And here is their data card. All the information that we have about CEFIC will be held at this place. And if you are familiar with the EU Lobby Register, you will recognise, I think, the format of this. So at the top, we have various basic information about CEFIC, the key facts and figures, and as you scroll down you can see other parts of their registration, perhaps how many lobbyists they declare having. We can see about their funding, how much they spend on lobbying. We can see their meetings that they have had, their high-level meetings with the European Commission, and we can also see which organisations they are affiliated to and networked to. But perhaps most importantly of all, and one of the added values of LobbyFacts is that LobbyFacts is not just showing you the data for CEFIC as of today, but at the top of every data card you will see a timeline, and we hold all the data that CEFIC has ever declared in the EU Lobby Register. That's not data you will find on the EU Lobby Register because that only shows today's data. But if you are interested in an organisation's, how their budget has changed over the years perhaps, what an organisation was doing during a particular lobby battle, say in 2018 or 2019, you can click on this timeline and we will take you to their register entry at that point. So this is a real added value of LobbyFacts, and you cannot find this data anywhere else. So that's the basic data card that we have on LobbyFacts, but there are other searches that you can do as well. For example, you can search by person. The only names that are in the Lobby Register are those that have European Parliament access passes. Those names are all declared, and that can be a really interesting set of data. So if I just put in my own name as an example, then here I go. And you can then see that I have had an access pass in the past for, of course, Corporate Europe Observatory. And then you can see when I had my access pass. So we click on people here. We can pull down this drop-down menu. I can do a quick search for Cann, and you will find my name and I had a pass a few years ago. So this is another useful search on LobbyFacts. You can track down the names of lobbyists and perhaps which organisations they have worked for in the past. If we return to the homepage, then there's another search that you can do, which I think you will also find useful, and that is to search on the lists of companies and organisations that lobby consultancy firms and law firms are working for. They, consultancy firms, law firms, are obliged to declare who their clients are. And this can be a really rich source of information about lobbying. So, for example, if I put in the name of Shell, the fossil fuel company, you can see that any time that Shell appears as a declared lobby client, they are listed here. Now, a few things to point out: that this information is not standardized. So you will see that some law firms or lobby firms are declaring Royal Dutch Shell with no spaces in the name. You will see they are declaring Royal Dutch Shell with spaces, and there is also a version with the PLC. So the names are not standardized, but you could click through to each of those, and then you will see that 4 organizations here have declared Shell, that particular term, as being a client. And you can then click through, and here we see that Fleschmann Hillard had Shell as a client in 2019. And perhaps earlier as well. So if you were interested in doing perhaps a lobby profile, say, of Shell, then you could click through to all of these contacts, and you would be able to put together a profile of all the different organisations that have helped Shell with their lobbying on a paid basis. As I say, law firms and lobby firms in general. And then the final search that we can do in this part of LobbyFacts is to search for a particular term. And this is if you are looking to find who is lobbying on a particular topic. So this search looks at only a couple of different field names in the data that we get from the Lobby Transparency Register, but it looks at files that organisations have declared working on. It has looked at the goals of the organisation that they have declared, and it also looks at the list of declared meetings with the Commission. So, and it's important to try and be precise when you use this. For example, if I put in the word climate and do a search, then of course we will get thousands of results. Many people, many organisations declare working on climate. But if we put in something more specific, say hydrogen, for example, and search that, you will get a more precise set of results, and those can then be downloaded, and you can do a broader set of searches with that. So if you are interested in finding who is lobbying on a particular dossier, a particular topic, then this would be the search to use, and you can use different terms, different versions of the same file name in order to put together a complete list. But if I now take you back to Get Started and we scroll down a bit further down this list of search terms, you will see that at the bottom of the Get Started page is actually a full list of all lobby organisations that are registered today. And this is today's date, and there are 12,000 plus organisations in the lobby register, and here we have ranked them in the order of size that they declare as lobby costs. So the highest spending organisations should appear at the top of the list. But if I just take you up here to show you how the other searches work. So here you can see that you can search for particular categories of organisation in the register. So you can look for companies and groups, or you could look for law firms, say. Here you can find organisations that register coming from a particular country, which could be useful. You can change the date of your searches. So as I say, one of the real added value benefits of LobbyFacts is that you don't just see today's data. You can look at what was happening last year or 5 years ago. You can change the date here. And then we get to these filters as well. So if I just take you back down to this list here, I said a minute ago that the data that we have is organised by size, in size order. But perhaps you will notice something slightly odd there, in that therefore the biggest lobbies apparently operating in Brussels now are a university college from London, a company that perhaps I've never heard of, you've probably never heard of, and again, another organisation that I've never heard of before. And actually it is only slightly lower down that we start to see some of the bigger names in lobbying in Brussels. And this takes us back to the point that the information in the lobby register is self-declared by the registrant, and it is not always is never fully verified, and not always therefore very accurate. And you can see here that when you triangulate the data, even though these top three declare 10 million in costs, in fact they have no European Parliament access passes, and 2 of them only have 1 lobbyist. So there is something slightly odd going on there, I would say, with the data. So if we move back up, this is where these filters can come in. So you can use these filters of perhaps, does an organisation have a Brussels office? Does an organisation have a European Parliament pass? Does the organisation have meetings with the Commission at the highest levels? You can use these filters to ensure that actually what you are really finding are the biggest lobbies operating in Brussels. So if we apply all of those filters now and click on search, we will actually get a rather different looking list of organisations active in Brussels, and I would argue it is a more realistic and accurate picture. Those filters are not perfect. Not everybody who is active in Brussels has high-level meetings with the Commission, has a European Parliament access pass, has an office in Brussels, but generally speaking you can play around with those filters in order to standardise your data a little bit and perhaps get rid of some of the entries that may not be fully accurate and reflective of lobbying today in Brussels. So I'm going to wind up there with just a final few reminders. If you're using LobbyFacts, please do look at the disclaimer, which you will find at the top of the website. It has more information about where the data comes from and how we collect it, and also this how-to guide. I hope you will find very interesting. It has lots of information on different searches that you can do and some tips on how to do good searching and to get good stories. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Please get in touch if you have any questions, and good luck with finding stories and joining with us to expose corporate power and corporate influence in the EU institutions.